Shabbat Shalom. Just about 4 years ago, while Sarah and I were living in Israel for my year studying there for rabbinical school, the semester ended and we decided to take our honeymoon. We went to Italy. Much of our time in Italy was spent in the city of Venice, known as La Serenissima, the most serene. And if you've been to Venice, you know that Venice is a truly magical and beautiful place. But the last day of our honeymoon was anything but serene. We had a lovely day planned. We were going to walk across the Rialto Bridge to the food market, have brunch, and then make our way to the airport to go back to Israel. Now, we made it to the bridge and to brunch, but it was anything but relaxing. We woke up, we checked out of our Airbnb, and we prepared for our day. Now, as soon as we started walking, I noticed that the suitcase, the wheels were not working. So I said, "Oh, that's all right," I told myself. "We just have to make it to the lockers, and then we'll lock up the suitcase until we head to the airport." The problem was, we tried all of the lockers, and none of them were large enough to fit our suitcase. Meanwhile, Sarah was in horrible pain due to blisters on her feet, causing each and every step to be excruciatingly painful, even with the bandages that we bought. But we carried on. Me schlepping our enormous 50-plus pound suitcase, plus all of our backpacks, and Sarah hobbling behind me in pain. We made it across the Rialto Bridge, which is quite long. There's a lot of steps, so don't carry a suitcase across it if you don't have to. And we were preparing to find a place to eat when I received an update that our flight to Israel was canceled. So the stress is now increasing. We tried to contact El Al, but had no luck. After we finished our brunch, thanks to a seagull swooping down behind Sarah and stealing her food, both of us were reaching our boiling point. I decided that we're done with Venice. Let's just go to the airport, find an agent, get rebooked, and we'll figure out our plan. Now, we made it to the airport, but there was no El Al agents. The general customer service agent was of no help and told us, "Well, just call El Al." Because, as he told us, I don't want to deal with them. So we told him that they have not answered and that we need a new flight, any airline, to which he said, "Oh well." At that point, we had no plan. We were exhausted, we were overwhelmed, and Sarah did what I think many of us would have done, and she called her mother and cried. I searched for the next affordable non-El Al flights, but it was not until the next morning. So I booked the nearest hotel. We had to walk about 30 minutes to get there in the middle of the road in Venice. And while we were walking, Sarah finally got an El Al representative to answer the phone. But she was too stressed and didn't know Hebrew that well to talk to him, so she passed me her earphones. I put them in, and I accidentally hung up on the representative. So I sat there and I called back over and over and over again, but of course no one answered the phone. We made it to the hotel. I ordered dinner. We were stressed. We ate silently, and we tried to sleep off the stress. Now, today, Sarah and I can look back and we can laugh about how our honeymoon went from magical and serene to the most stressful day in our lives so far in such a short span. We did not anticipate anything going wrong. We had no backup plan, no contingency, no, if this happens, then we'll do this and it'll be fine. And here's what I've realized since then. The problem was not that things went wrong. Things always go wrong. Flights get canceled, suitcase wheels break, seagulls steal your food. The real problem was that we had not built a strong inner foundation to help us overcome those stressful moments. So every small problem required a fresh decision, and every fresh decision made under pressure increased our stress. Now, it turns out that life moves. We can't change that. Whether we've built our inner foundations or not, and when life moves suddenly, we do not want to be building our stability in a moment of chaos. Now, that is why a small architectural detail in this week's parashah reframed that entire experience for me. In verse after verse about the design of the Mishkan, we read regarding the building of the Holy Ark, B'taba'ot ha'aron yihiyu habadim, lo yasuru mimenu. The poles shall remain in the rings of the ark, they shall not be removed from it. Now the ark, as we know, would travel 40 years in the wilderness through war, through national transition, long before it ever reached the stability of Solomon's temple. And so the question is, why are we commanded to not remove the poles from the ark? In Sefer HaChinuch, we learn that we were commanded not to remove the poles of the ark from it, lest we need to go out with the ark to any place quickly. And maybe due to the preoccupation and the rush, we will not check whether the poles are strong enough. Unless, God forbid, it will fall from their hands, and this is not fit for the glory of the ark. But with their always being ready and not being removed from it, we will make them very strong, and so there will not be a mishap with them. Sefer HaChinuch assumes something deeply human. When we are preoccupied and rushed, we do not double-check things. We do not tighten the bolts. We just assume that things are secure when in fact they may not be. So the Torah does not command us to just be more careful with the ark. No, it commands us to design the ark so that even when we are not careful, the ark will not fall from our hands. And modern psychology confirms what the Torah already understood thousands of years ago. Under stress, our executive functioning declines. We become more reactive and much less precise. Now, one powerful strategy that psychologists recommend is called implementation intentions. If X happens, then I will do Y. We decide well in advance how we will respond so we don't have to find stability in those chaotic moments. The poles of the ark functioned like an ancient implementation intention. If we need to move suddenly, then the ark is already secure and it won't fall during the stressful move. Now, according to the American Institute of Stress, more than half of U.S. adults report feeling stressed throughout each and every day. So the question is not whether stress will arrive, but how prepared we are when, in fact, it does. Some people may seem steady under pressure, not because they never feel stress, but because they've already built those inner poles, implementation intentions that remain secure even when everything else is moving at a chaotic pace. We do not rise to our intentions in moments of chaos. We rely on whatever is already fixed in place. So how do we secure our own poles before those stressful moments arrive? First, we need clarity about who we are before we're under pressure. Stress narrows our thinking. It pushes us toward reaction instead of intention. And if we have not built our strong inner foundation in calm moments, it becomes much harder to respond with clarity when things become chaotic. That foundation cannot be built in a crisis. Even people with strong values can react poorly if they have not decided in advance how they want to respond in those moments. So this would have helped Sarah and I immensely while we were in Venice. Now, we got through it, but without implementation intentions in place, every single problem that we faced multiplied our stress levels. So here's how having those intentions may have helped us. If something goes wrong on a trip, Then we will identify one calm next step before trying to solve every problem. If we feel overwhelmed, then one of us will take the lead while the other just rests. If we're exhausted, then we will delay any major decisions until we have eaten or slept. Now that last one Sarah tells me often. She always tells me, I hate hangry David. He does not make good decisions. So let's get you some food. In Venice, every single problem required a fresh decision. And every decision that we made under stress just increased the chaos of the day. If we had pre-decided even just a few of our responses, the day might still have been difficult, but it would not have felt so destabilizing. But even implementation intentions require more than just the if-then plan. They require mental and emotional capacity. Research on decision fatigue shows that as decisions accumulate, our clarity declines. By the time we reached the airport in Venice, we were not just stressed, we were completely deflated. Stability is not just about willpower, it's about preserving the conditions that allow wisdom to function. Rest, routine, movement, connection, and reducing unnecessary decisions. The ark's poles were not tightened only in moments of chaos and crisis, they were reinforced from the very beginning. And because they were not constantly removed and reinserted, they remained strong. So stress will come, plans will unravel, conversations will become tense. The question is not whether life will move suddenly, because it will. The question is whether the poles in our lives are already fixed, providing us with a solid and stable inner foundation. May we all learn to build a strong inner foundation using implementation intentions while we are experiencing relative calm, so that when life does begin to move suddenly, what matters most to us in our lives will not fall. Shabbat Shalom.